All right, enough of that. Yeah, so Game Informer, October 2022, issue number 350. So the controversy about Bayonetta 3, if you haven't heard, is the voice actress of Bayonetta, or whatever the titular character is. She acted like the company, Sega, I don't know who makes this game, they acted like they only wanted to pay her $4,000 to voice the character for the third time. And it turns out she was lying. And they wanted to pay her $4,000 for each session of 4 or 5 sessions of voicing the character. So that lady's probably gonna be blackballed. Stop being greedy. Keep it real, partner. Give to the needy. Right. A fond farewell. I never thought I would write these words. I'm leaving Game Informer. For nearly 30 years, I looked forward to each workday, eager to see what games news would break, what I would be writing about, and on the best days, what I would be playing. All right, this cat, Andrew Reiner, he is leaving, right? Jason Gusayo, associate editor, he loves Madden. Kristen Williams, web designer, programmer. One thing that often surprises people about Minnesota, where Game Informer is based, is our idea of salad. If you're in the mood to try a local classic for your next gaming meetup, here's my recipe for caramel apple Snickers salad. Oh man, sounds off the chain. 1 5.1 ounce box of instant vanilla pudding, half a cup of milk, 6 apples, cored and chopped, 6 Snickers bars chopped, 1 tub whipped topping, 1 cup mini marshmallows. Oh, this is sounding crazy. A half cup caramel sauce. Whisk pudding and milk together in a large bowl. Fold in whipped topping. Then add apples, Snickers, and marshmallows. Drizzle caramel on top. Sounds nothing like a salad, but what it does sound like is damn good. Contents. Yeah, we'll get to it when we get to it. I'm trying a different kind of overhead view. I think the lighting kind of sucks, but we're going to keep on moving forward, though. Okay, God of War Ragnarok. I'm surprised Sony is saying God of War Ragnarok is a final chapter. Yeah, right. I thought for sure we'd get a trilogy. Revealing this information before the game releases is brilliant because it raises many questions. Will Kratos die? Are they moving on to another mythology at the end of the story? Will Kratos kill every Norse god? I can't wait to learn why Sony is being so upfront about this reveal months before the game hits store shelves. I've been gaming for 30 years, and I'm glad Kratos... All right, Kratos, we're not going into that again. Shigeru Miyamoto. What happened to Shigeru Miyamoto? He was a staple at all of Nintendo's E3 press conferences, yet seemingly vanished when the pandemic hit. I know he's been eyeing retirement, but I was hoping we'd get another visionary game from him. He's still in the Mushroom Kingdom, they say. New experiences. People complain about how many sequels we get, yet they don't show much excitement for the new IPs until proven good. Gamescom opening night live stream gave us a first looks at a dozen new game series, yet most people say the show was terrible because no heavy hitters were there. Moonbreaker, Lies of P, and Everywhere look promising and could be the start of new series we herald as gaming greats. Maybe people just like to complain, but I'm beginning to think they don't know what they want, right? Hogwarts Legacy. Games when I was a kid, there was nothing better than Harry Potter. My mom read the books to me almost every night, and we went to the theater on the opening night to see the movies. I now feel like I must hide my fandom because of the controversy surrounding Harry Potter's creator, J.K. Rowling. You don't have to hide anything. That's her views. But yeah, we're keeping it moving. Cyberpunk 2077. Following a substantial patch earlier this year, Cyberpunk 2077 is now the game I was hoping it would be. Hey, we love trans though. Yeah, Cyberpunk, it's my favorite game on PS5, looking genuinely next gen in its visuals and feeling it through the extraordinary DualSense functionality. And it rocks as a game in which you can lose hundreds of hours of your life. The storytelling and choice are are pretty good. Now that CD Projekt Red has made good on making the game better, should it be re-entered into the game of your discussions for 2022? No, because it probably dropped in 2021, I'm sure. Kids in card games. Yeah. I was reading through issue 343 and remembered the fantastic article about teaching kids how to play games. My question is about getting kids into trading card games, such as the Pokemon TCG. Any tips for getting kids into them? I would love to see a full article on this. As with most activities with kids, our top recommendation is to be guided by their enthusiasm and interest. Is your kiddo interested in games, cards, and collecting? If so, what are some of the things they like? If cute monsters are big for them, you're right to have your eye on Pokemon. Are they more into traditional fantasy trappings in video games? A digital TCG like Hearthstone could be a big hit. Once you zero in on something they're excited about, let them guide an initial level of engagement. It's great to express your own enthusiasm, as that can be infectious. But don't push your own interest and presume their kids will be the same. Theirs will be the same. Most of the time, kids are going to appreciate any opportunity to do something with a grown-up they love and trust. Lean into games and shared projects that they both enjoy, and it's hard to go wrong. Yeah, I tried to teach my, man, like, what was he? Probably like 13 at the time. I tried to teach him Magic, but he was really more into Dragon Ball. So we tried the Dragon Ball Super game, which is like way more complicated to teach if you aren't just hands-on with Dragon Ball. But it went all right. It didn't go that well. And then he just didn't ever, and then we never really played again. But, what do you do? All right, fewer exclusives. Yeah, fewer exclusives. You got to share the wealth. Seeing crystal clear worlds. PlayStation VR 2 delivers breathtaking clarity and a riveting next-gen experience. But does it have the games to make you want it? I let out an audible wow just minutes after starting Resident Evil Village on PlayStation VR 2. A blood-curdling scream deep within Castle Dimitrescu doesn't put me on edge as my attention is elsewhere. I'm looking at a framed painting on a foyer wall. This portrait of a regal-looking man is rather ordinary, but in PS VR 2, it holds my attention because I can see the little details in crystal clear clarity. I study the brushstrokes, the color variations in his coat's fabric, and I can tell it's an oil painting. Alright, yeah. The setup. The painful days of setting up PlayStation 4's VR headset are behind us. PlayStation VR 2 consists of just one cable. You don't need a camera or move controllers, and the pass-through camera allows you to see your surroundings while adjusting your setup. The PSVR 2's headset is light, comfortable, and easy to adjust. A couple of game developers at the event said the headset has an airy design. That's a great way to summarize how it feels on your head. It isn't suffocating or too snug and just kind of hangs comfortably in front of your eyes. The dial on the back of the headset is also a nice way of tightening the fit. A moment I rather enjoyed, given how loudly the dial clicks as the straps tighten. Horizon Call of the Mountain. This game is the next-gen showpiece you want to see at launch. We don't yet know if Horizon or any other game mentioned in this article will be available on the same day as the hardware in early 2023. But the safe money is on at least Horizon being there, if not all of them. Right? Sweet graphics. Resident Evil Village. I already talked about Resident Evil Village's little details impress. They are a constant throughout the short demo. As you would expect, Lady Dimitrescu looks gigantic in the VR world. Oh yeah, that's that big chick, Lady D, I guess. And seeing her suck blood from your head creates a new level of creepiness through the headset. The swarm of bugs that her minions summon also are more of a visual nuisance and up to the tension. And up the tension. Alright, The Walking Dead, Saints and Sinners, Chapter 2, Retribution. I don't know how many zombies I grabbed to hold back from biting me, but most of them received a swift machete to the skull. Retribution was the most complete game I played on the PlayStation VR 2, and it required plenty plenty of trial and error, given how many different controller actions are in the game. It's the VR title that embraces most aspects of the medium and impresses in that capacity. Star Wars Tales from Galaxy's Edge Enhanced Edition. As much as I love Star Wars, returning to Galaxy's Edge on PlayStation VR 2 didn't do much for me. The reason the demo didn't show much, I experienced a brief conversation in the cantina in one firefight out in the wild. The demo mostly shows how much the visuals are enhanced, giving a good look at the more realistic lighting and sharper texture quality. All right, 3D audio through the 3D audio through the PlayStation VR headphones also delivers a great sense of spatial awareness, allowing me to pick up the threats in the battle. Right? Crafting a Marvel. Our first glimpse at Amy Hennig's Captain America and Black Panther team up by Andrew Reiner. In the world of Marvel Comics, the word ensemble invokes thoughts of the Avengers, X-Men, or Fantastic Four. We learned Skydance, New Media, and Marvel Entertainment were working on an ensemble Marvel video game a few weeks ago. The internet rumor mill believed that the game was the focus on the Reed Richards and his Fantastic family. During a Disney and Marvel game showcase at this year's D23, we learned it wasn't the Fantastic Four, Avengers, or any Marvel team. Skydance is creating its own squad of 4 heroes set against the backdrop of World War II. All right, so it looks like we got Cap, Black Panther, Okoye, one of those Dora Milaje chicks, and some dude from World War II. Right, skipping around, 4 heroes, 2 worlds, 1 war. Skydance's focus is to make this superhero experience as widely accessible as possible, hoping that anyone can play it from start to finish. When asked about the inspiration points for this odd ensemble, Henning cited films with men on a mission, such as Dirty Dozen. Yeah. Last paragraph. Huge paragraph, so... All right, I'm excited about this studio, Henning says. I'm excited about the game. We're building on our own experiences and telling action-packed cinematic adventures. We're changing things within the mechanics and controls that will feel fresh for long-time players and welcoming to people who have always wanted to pick up a controller but may have felt intimidated that a game wasn't for them. All right, crazy. And let's keep on reading. We're trying to crack that problem of creating a game where you feel like you're embodying these characters and choreographing the experience from moment to moment instead of feeling like a logistical, tactical game that you have to beat. We're looking at games that make you feel like you're entering a experiential flow state instead of managing skill trees. People who played it have said they've lost themselves in our experience, but the game was doing what they intended instead of fighting them. Okay, interesting. Tokyo Game Show makes a tepid comeback. We visited Japan's premier gaming convention to take in the sights, sounds, and games, but left mostly underwhelmed. Womp, womp, womp. Last paragraph. But this TGS, so many titles were aimed at the Japanese market and aren't likely to come stateside anytime soon. Most of the floor is also dedicated to various merchandise booths, NFT, and blockchain. Try to move this thing. It just doesn't want to work right. All right. Tokyo Game Show had its moments, but its return felt like it was shaking off the cobwebs. In a time when many conventions feel less essential for promoting games, it also felt a bit outdated, making us wonder what needs to change to show the show has to make a larger splash next year. All right, what is Rocksmith Plus? ? After a roughly 8-year hiatus, Ubisoft recently released Rocksmith Plus to wannabe musicians eager to fulfill that lifelong dream of playing guitar and bass. But what exactly is Rocksmith Plus, and is it a good fit for you? We played several hours and spoke to its developers to get some answers. Is it a game? Not really. While previous iterations of the Rocksmith flirted with being a proper game, Rocksmith Plus is positioned entirely as a way to learn guitar. I think we would describe it as a new music education platform with gamified learning elements, says lead audio designer Brian Cody. You subscribe to the service and gain access to the to everything on offer. Certain elements lean into ideas like achievements and progression through your learning, but it's not a game in any traditional sense. So what's the game going to cost me? The subscription tiers are on offer, but the only difference is how much access you're going to pay for. Go monthly for $15, pay $40 for a 3-month subscription. Devote yourself to becoming Jimi Hendrix for the annual $100 sub. If you go for the 3-month option, you get 1 free month free. And similarly, if you opt out of the annual subscription, you'll get 3 months free. Nice. All right, should I try it out? If you have a guitar or bass sitting in the corner that you've always wanted to play, it's a pretty compelling package. Don't expect to master a song with the speed you use to nail rhythm patterns in Guitar Hero or Rock Band. This is actual guitar playing, and any real progress will take a bit of time. But Rocksmith Plus makes the learning process fun, varied, and customized. If something is a bit overwhelming in the options, the single month subscription is affordable. It might be a good option if you want to see if the system works for you. Cool. Land of Smackdown. Project Pata. The twisting multi-year journey to create a short level in Neon White. As of writing this, the fastest run through of Neon White Smackdown level is 9.56 seconds, earned by player Earlobe on September 6, 2022. Standing in contrast is the work that went into it. And according to designer and creative director Ben Esposito, the earliest iteration was in March 2019, more than 3 years before its release in June 2022. In that time, there are over 50 different iterations. Sometimes changes were small, other times they fundamentally altered the level. Every designer who worked on the game has touched Smackdown in some form. Nevertheless, load it now. Chances are all the labor is visible to you. Before sitting down to write, I beat it just in 11 seconds. All right. Looks like Sonic Green Hill Zone. May 2020. Last couple paragraphs. For every redesigns to major additions players won't think about twice, it's about the sum total of its parts more than any one thing. So unless you're Honor, who boils SmackDown success down to one tiny decision, I think when those two planks got put down, that's when it went from kind of a bad level to just about perfect. He jokes. Some planks. Oh, okay, that was just the mock-up looking like Green Hill Zone. Cool. All right, what I learned designing my thesis game. Okay, I made 12 little games, analog and digital, over the course of my MFA program. However, I dedicated most of that time to my thesis. By graduation, I'd worked as a writer, narrative designer on prototypes, vertical slices, documentation, you name it. And after my adjustments, my thesis even won a highly competitive grant to assist post-grad development. Short deadlines and secondary assignments led to high stress periods, albeit in a controlled academic environment, but the lesson about collaboration and creativity were invaluable. Okay, it's an ordinary school night, and I'm in a video call with my friend Jude. I watched them casually scroll through the graffiti-adjacent concept art and brief clips of a passion project called Punch, Cyberspace Investigator. They give me a rundown of the game's mechanics, inspiration, and vibe, which includes phrases like platformer, Ace Attorney, inspired dialogue puzzles, detective work, and hack the internet. Last paragraph. Solidifying these mechanics while polishing UI and FX and general juiciness, the embellishments that makes playing so satisfying, took almost 6 months. And for our final milestone, we proudly submitted a 20-minute playable demo. Punch, Cyberspace Investigator gave me the opportunity to craft a queer story while also learning to embrace constructive criticism and constant revisions within the framework of a small team. More importantly, designing my thesis game taught me about trusting, inquisitive, and playful. Taught me to be trusting, inquisitive, and playful. Right? Embrace your inner Nintendo fandom. Lego The Mighty Bowser 269. And it looks pretty cool. The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, Hylian Shield. G Gamecraft HDMI converter, GameCube HDMI converter, split pad compact, $50. Okay, you are not the target audience, and that's okay. I recall my disappointment. I had fallen in love with Square's Final Fantasy II, later redubbed Final Fantasy IV here in the US. With its rich cast of characters, intriguing battles, and surprising settings, I was already an RPG fan when Cecil and Rose's grand adventure lit up my imagination for what console RPG adventure could be. Final Fantasy Mystic Quest hit the score shelves the next year, and I eagerly piled up my allowance money on the counter to snag a copy. I popped the cartridge into my SNES and prepared to be amazed, only to be let down by a childish giant that engendered little to nothing of the epic quality I'd seen in the game I loved. Alright, put another way, someone else enjoying games I don't like doesn't invalidate my own enthusiasm. Rather, the breadth of variety of games on the market suggests that the gaming hobby is, in its most expensive interpretation, has something special that appeals to everyone. So maybe I wasn't the kid who needed Final Fantasy Mythic Quest to fall in love with gaming, but I bet someone did. Okay, cover story. Untangling the multiversal madness of Bayonetta 3. Okay, Platinum Games embodies style, imagination, and risk-taking. Spawned in 2007 by Capcom veterans including Resident Evil creator Shinji Mikami and Devil May Cry and Okami masterminds Hideki Kamiya, the studio became a haven for those minds to create new franchises under the freedom of independence. Early success like Mad World turned heads, but Platinum's third title, Bayonetta, cemented it as one of the game industry's premier action studios. Launching in Japan in 2009 and hitting US stores in 2010, Bayonetta revamped and in some ways improved the stylish action of its spiritual predecessor, Devil May Cry. The bewitching adventure reinvented and reinvigorated the stylish action genre. Platinum created its magnum opus in only 2 years. Unfortunately, sales didn't match the reception, and Sega, the game's original publisher, passed on the sequel. Despite fans' cries, Bayonetta seemingly ended the series before it could take off. But Nintendo stepped up to answer those pleas by agreeing to publish a follow-up. Bayonetta 2 arrived in 2014 as a Wii U exclusive. The sequel proved Bayonetta wasn't a one-hit wonder, becoming one of the year's best games, with some fans believing it surpassed its predecessor. Excuse me. Right, predecessor. The success also proved the family-friendly Nintendo had no problem letting the franchise remain true to its mature, rated self. Skin tight. When the Nintendo Switch launched in 2017, it didn't take long for Platinum to reveal Bayonetta 3 as another Nintendo exclusive. However, the third game vanished from the spotlight shortly after kicking off 4 years of infrequent updates and uncertainty about its existence. That finally changed last September when the game re-debuted with its first gameplay trailer. Alright, yeah, skipping around. Got some cel-shaded art. It seems I am unfashionably late, but I'm ready to give you everything you want. The years-long wait has many fans asking two questions: what took so long, and why was Platinum so quiet? I presented these questions to Bayonetta 3's principal developers, director Yusuke Miyata, producer Yuji Nakao, and supervising director Hideki Kamiya. Platinum's top brass wouldn't offer specific reasons for the game's wait, only saying that it was necessary to create the ultimate Bayonetta experience. Last paragraph on this page. Back at the gates of hell, Viola says she's on a mission to locate a scientist named Dr. Sigrand and a device called the Chaos Gear. Somehow, bringing these elements together will be vital to preventing the multiverse's collapse. At this moment, I'm introduced to Viola's demonic companion, Cheshire. This introduced This cartoonish, oversized cat chills by the bar, resembling an anime version of the mischievous creature made famous in Alice in Wonderland. As Viola beckons it, Cheshire stretches its large, multicolored maw and coughs up a vintage penny farthing bicycle on all things. Cheshire hops atop an old-timey bike, and Bayonetta and Viola sit on Cheshire's ample noggin as the demon whisks them through a portal to begin their quest. Okay. A demonic influence. Bayonetta and Viola. Yeah, story. Last paragraph on this page. Bayonetta has her climax summon magic, but in previous games they were cinematic finishing moves, explains Miyata. They were visually impressive and gave the satisfying feeling of having finished off an enemy. But for this game, we felt that making those visually stunning finishing moves part of the actual gameplay would add another level of fun and impact, and got to work with that in mind. Okay. Last paragraph on this page. There are places that infernal demons can be used to destroy things and solve puzzles scattered throughout the stages, says Miyata. We've also created areas that can be conquered using the unique methods of traversal afforded by demon masquerade abilities, adding a degree of satisfaction to exploration. Last paragraph here. Viola sports a vastly different playstyle that reflects her inexperience. Instead of being adept at using a variety of weapons like Bayonetta, Viola uses her katana and throwing darts. She also summons Cheshire for backup. What she lacks in finesse, though, she makes up for with raw power. Okay, Viola. Alright, giving the gnarly. Okay. Last paragraph. Most comforting is that this new entry, despite these big changes, still feels like a Bayonetta game. The tongue-in-cheek humor and innuendo, absurdly bonkers spectacle, and Bayonetta's alluring personality remain intact. After so many years of waiting, even before Bayonetta 3 was officially announced, it feels great to hang out with the classiest witch in video games for another stylish romp. And with the intriguing Viola tagging along, the more the merrier. Hopefully Bayonetta 3 is more than worth the wait when it arrives at the end of this month. Breakdown. Athia. Luminous Production hopes the story will drive through Forspoken. Okay. Corruption can be seen throughout Forspoken, bit by bit as you explore its crevices. One elk-like creature encountered early in my quest through Athia only had spots of glowing coarseness over its normal, albeit huge body when I first encountered it. Last paragraph. The magic parkour was fantastic, but it doesn't feel like it's at the center of the game. If I'm not given free roam to explore however I please, being told where to go, especially as roadblocks are put up throughout the journey, doesn't make for a compelling open world. It remains to be seen if the final complete experience will offer the freedom and transform Forspoken into something truly magical. Alright, so they're kind of not feeling it. Okay, paragraph before that. I got the impression that there were many elements at the core of Forspoken, both during the interview and the hands-on demo. Parkour, magical abilities, and narrative-driven experience were all mentioned, but it's hard for these elements to coexist at the center of the experience. Okay, I'm trying to do 2 minutes. We'll see soon. Back to the Basim in basics. Ubisoft has officially unveiled Assassin's Creed Mirage, the next mainline game in the long-running series, following multiple leaks that confirmed almost everything that the company formally said during a September Ubisoft Forward. And yet everything Ubisoft revealed, even if it all leaked beforehand, still left me incredibly excited. Yes, using a younger version of Basim Ibn Ishaq a significant character in Assassin's Creed Valhalla as the protagonist sounds excellent, as does exploring an ultra-dense Baghdad during its golden age. But what has captured my attention most as it relates to Mirage is that it's not as massive and sprawling open-world RPG. Ubisoft isn't filling it with multicolored loot, dozens of quest lines to keep track of, or a skill tree with hundreds of options. In other words, it won't be Assassin's Creed, Origins, Odyssey, or Valhalla. Instead, expect a return to its roots of its series, a return to the days where your main pillars of gameplay were stealth, parkour, and of course assassination, rather than dialogue, choices, side quests, and 80 hours of story to play through. Inspired heavily by Altair's adventure in the first Assassin's Creed, but taking a little bit of something from every game, Mirage will be a reminder of the series' beginnings, and I can't wait. I spoke to the game's lead producer, Fabian Solomon, about why now was the perfect time to return to the franchise's origins, how Mirage will play, and more. Last paragraph. These three pillars, parkour, stealth, and assassination, are wrapped up in the most linear action-adventure Assassin's Creed story has in years, Solomon says. He also says Mirage has a clear beginning and ending, making it perfect for newcomers unfamiliar with Basim's journey in Valhalla, but still rewarding for those who are. But unfortunately, he couldn't share too much more about the story of Mirage, but we'll learn soon enough because it will come to light much like his protagonist next year. Okay, Garbage Pail Kids. Shout out to that boy, Omega Investments. Garbage Pail Kids, Mad Mike, and the quest for stale gum. A revolting return. Yeah, like if you want to see a lot of Garbage Pail Kids, subscribe to Omega Investments. All right, how a long-awaited Garbage Pail Kids NES game is finally coming to life. What? Nintendo? Okay, the year 1985 contained so many cultural touchstones. Queen's legendary Live Aid performance, Coca-Cola's infamous New Coke release, the first ever WrestleMania, and much more. My first birthday. Likely the most crucial moment to readers of this magazine was the debut of the Nintendo Entertainment System. The NES pulled the burgeoning industry out of the video game crash and introduced countless iconic characters and franchises. It seemed like every hit property received a game at that time. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Top Gun, DuckTales, Dungeons and Dragons, American Gladiators, the list goes on and on. However, one iconic brand shockingly never made the transition into an NES game. Garbage Pail Kids, which also debuted in 1985, was a trading card series that mixed the cuteness of the hit Cabbage Patch Kids dolls with the outrageous, funny, and featured kids barfing, losing limbs, and getting zapped by lightning, to name a few. Word of mouth spread on the playgrounds like wildfire, and teachers and parents were quick to ban and condemn them. Naturally, this made Garbage Pail Kids wildly popular. The cards were such a hit that Crater Tops produced 15 series in the span of 3 years. They licensed the GBK out for toys, school notebooks, and folders, inflatable punching bags, you name it. This kind of white hotness would normally lead to an NES game in the next logical step, but several factors got in the way. A universally reviled live-action movie disappointed the kids who were allowed to see it. A threatened boycott got CBS to shelve the Garbage Pail Kids Saturday morning cartoon that it had already fully produced. Wow. Most damaging of all, Topps had to settle with the makers of Cabbage Patch Kids for millions of dollars plus royalties and alter the design of Garbage Pail Kids to be less like Cabbage Patch Kids dolls. Man, they went through some stuff. Sales dwindled and Garbage Pail Kids was officially dead by the end of 1988. After a long hiatus, Topps relaunched Garbage Pail Kids' all-new series in 2003. New GPK series continues to this day. During the era of PlayStation 2, the opportunity to create a Garbage Pail Kids game on the classic NES console that shared its cultural heyday was seemingly lost forever. Right. Lifting the lid. Tim Hartman and Greg Caldwell have been best friends since the 3rd grade. They connected over a shared love of NES games, Garbage Pail Kids, and many other 80s cultural touchstones. In their adult lives, they found themselves longing for an era of game that just wasn't made anymore. They found a homebrew community where people were making new NES games in the same style and limitations of the original hardware. It wasn't long before they wanted in, but they had to do it right. For us, cartridge comes first, Caldwell says. This is where we got our start in the game dev. We had never made a game before we made an NES game. That's always paramount for us. The friends pulled together a small team under the name Retrotainment to create Haunted Halloween 85, a spooky action platformer, and work with Infinite NES Lives to produce custom NES card shells, boards, boxes, and manuals. The 2015 release was followed by the subsequent year by Haunted Halloween 86. Both games later released on digital platforms to reach a wider audience. While showing the games off at retro conventions, they caught the eye of art, music, and gaming collectible producers I Am 8-Bit. Retrotainment and Infinite NES Lives would go on to manufacture several NES, SNES, Genesis card reissues for I Am 8-Bit, including classic games like Street Fighter II, Mega Man 2, and Disney's Aladdin. As they were working on all of these retro releases, they started thinking of all their favorite childhood things that never got the NES treatment. At the top of the list was Garbage Pail Kids. We were trying to right or wrong, Hartman says. It's a game that has long deserved to have. Hartman managed to work his way through contracts at licensor tops and eventually convinced the executives to give them a shot. Retrotainment brought this up with the partners at I Am 8-Bit, which recently announced it was getting into the game publishing. The company was immediately on board. When Garbage Pail Kids came up at the convention, it felt so great to all of us. All right, last paragraph. Second to last paragraph. It's clear Retrotainment is pouring decades of pent-up ideas for Garbage Pail Kids NES game into this project, and that it hopes old school fans and new players alike will find something to love. There's so many characters, so many opportunities for that brand to shine, Tim Hartman says. We're very honored to be a part of it, and the history that is the Garbage Pail Kids. All right, I wonder how it is. Crossing the Streams. Ghostbusters. Alright, the film Ghostbusters Afterlife created a powerful new pulse for the beloved supernatural universe, with director Jason Reitman taking over for his father Ivan and the original cast reprising their roles. Afterlife had the heart and soul fans have been waiting for. The nostalgia paved a familiar path, giving way to new generation of characters and ideas. A sequel film is in active development, gaining the code name Firehouse, which implies the Ghostbusters will once again call New York City home. Skip the page. Last paragraph on this page. Slimer. A drone, perhaps. Alright. Knowing the ghosts could be anywhere at any time, I suddenly feel like something is watching me. And I have no privacy. Oh. And I'm not wrong. It's studying our movements. The ghost could be hiding in any inanimate object, such as a chair or painting, which can suddenly come to life and bounce or fly around should we get too close. Since we have the PKE meters out, the ghost won't stay planted for long, since we can pinpoint its precise location. Even if it does, one of us can change the PKE meter to let out our sonic bursts that will immediately free the ghoul from its hiding spot. Cool. They're really doing what the movie did. And second to the last paragraph. I've enjoyed all Illphonics asymmetrical titles, but have never stuck with them long. Ghostbusters Spirit Unleashed is the easiest of the company's games to pick up and feel comfortable with, but I again question the depth of the experience. Will it have legs after a few matches? Where playing as Jason or the Predator was the best part of the other games I found, both the Ghostbusters and the Ghostbusters the Ghost and the Ghostbusters to be equally fun to play. Haunting people is the highlight, but shooting the photon beam isn't far behind. With an October 18th release date, we don't have long to wait to see how the community takes to this game. Cool. Sounds like them survival horrors or whatever you want to call it. That Jason type game. New Tales from the Borderlands. Publisher 2K teased in April that it was bringing back Telltales from the Borderlands series, but that it would be developed in-house by Gearbox Software this time. Then, during Gamescom, Gearbox officially revealed the sequel, which isn't a direct continuation of Telltale stories, but a spiritual successor called New Tales from the Borderlands, and that it will feature all 5 episodes on day 1. Cool. The rest of the demo plays out as you'd expect. Jokes, quick time events, tough dialogue choices, and plenty of peril. And it's worth watching if you're excited about what's in store in New Tales from the Borderlands ahead of its October 21st release. Okay, A Plague Tale Requiem. A video game sequel is hard to create, especially if the previous game was a commercial success. Why did the game resonate with fans? How many new features does the sequel need to justify another price tag? Should anything be changed at all? How do you make something fresh while retaining the identity established in the first game? Last paragraph. Everything serves the larger narrative. When I fail a challenge, I feel like I'm letting down the characters on screen. I wince whenever the protagonist must kill an enemy. They're kids after all. I'm heavily invested in Amicia and Hugo's lives and want them to find happiness, but I'm not naive. I know whatever lies ahead for these characters is indeed grim. Mother Goose and Grim. Dead Island 2. Dead Island was supposed to be a big deal. I don't think it ended up being as big a deal as it was supposed to be. Dead Island 2, Trouble in Paradise. Despite releasing to lukewarm critical reception, the first Dead Island fulfilled the open world, zombie congested co-op obsessions of action RPG fans everywhere. Inspired by cult classic movies like 28 Days Later and games like Left 4 Dead, the undead adventure boasted skill trees, close quarters combat, and an expansive backdrop with claustrophobic hotel hallways, sparkling beaches, and lush jungles. Sadly, the highly anticipated sequel got stuck in development hell. An E3 2014 announcement trailer excited audiences with its comedically gory premise of an airhead jogger marathoning down the boardwalk as the world is literally consumed behind him. But then the sequel disappeared into obscurity. Swole dude, zombie. Alright, last couple paragraphs. Like the first game, Dead Island 2 offers an array of personalities with quest lines and intimidating zombie personalities types, including the mysterious Apex variants that add flavor to each encounter, and zany co-op for up to 3 players. The sequel isn't open world, but each district is expansive and chock full of activities like hub locations for NPC interactions, workbenches that strengthen weapons, and area-specific predators. At Gamescom, lead narrative designer Khan said, "We got to build the game from ground up. It's a constant toy box of melee brutality with a few guns for fun." You can drop into Dead Islands 2 Hellish LA on PS5, Xbox Series XS, PS4, Xbox One, Stadia, and PC. I think they did it Stadia, didn't they? Yeah, I mean, I guess they wrote this a while ago. Alright, Destiny 2 Lightfall, the beginning of the end. No one can fault Bungie for resting on its laurels. The studio continues to push in new directions with fresh gameplay mechanics and locations with the ongoing Destiny 2 experience. Even as recent installments suggest that the current storyline is steering towards a conclusion, we've known for some time that Lightfall would be the next major expansion, but recent reveals pull the curtain back to help Guardians plan their next big adventure. Okay? Destiny 2. The Lords of the Fallen. A teaser trailer and a handful of images give us an idea of what we can expect from the game visually, but we have yet to see the Lords of the Fallen in action. CI Games hopes to release the project in 2023 for PS5, Xbox XS, and PC. Atlas Fallen, The Power of Sand. Atlas Fallen is Deck 13's interactive next game, announced the same day as Lord of the Fallen's, the studio's other current big project. In addition to appreciating Fallen, Deck 13's new title shares Lord's focus on teamwork and allowing players to step into fully cooperative or solo story campaigns. The Expanse, a Telltale series. Yeah, I think I'm still on season 4. The Expanse franchise is an increasingly big part of any conversation about must-know sci-fi properties. The excellent novels gave way to a stellar TV adaptation, giving us a chance for an interactive drama in the same universe. The nuanced characters and cultures of The Expanse are a good fit for the kind of work that Telltale and Deck 9 are both known for. So it's exciting to see how the project might come together. The new Expanse game offers a glimpse at the earlier life of one of the show's most intriguing leads, Cam, drummer. Can't even recall who that is. In the story, we find her serving as XO aboard a spaceship called Artemis while it undergoes a mutiny. In keeping with other games from both involved development teams, a big focus on branching narrative trees where you shape the outcome for Drummer and her crew. Beyond those expectations, the Expanse game is throwing in some interesting twists, including action sequences like the dodging of debris and the core navigational mechanic around zero-gravity exploration. Some of the early footage revealed a dark play space of twisting corridors, a ruined ship being scavenged, and some gruesome encounters with beheaded dead bodies, suggesting that the drummer may have a lot more than a mutiny to confront over the course of the story. Kara G, who played Kamina on the show, is returning to voice the character, and she suggested that the earlier version exhibits more vulnerabilities than her later incarnation. By the time we meet her in the series, they've already been cauterized, G says. The Expanse is targeting a release next summer, so there's plenty of time to catch up on the show and books if you've missed out. Hopefully y'all have finished the series by then. Inkbound. Shiny Shoe, the team behind Monster Train, has been hard at work on its newest twist on the roguelike formula. The studio's earlier project found players navigating a train on its way through hell, using deck building card mechanics to fight one challenging battle after the next. In Inkbound, the team has held on to the roguelike formula, but almost everything else is going in a new direction. Yeah, looks like a turn-based strategy right there. RPGs and MOBA, drawing inspiration from isometric RPGs and MOBAs. Each player moves through the fictional lands and paints the ground with an area of effect power that aim to bring down the creatures encountered along the way. Alright, Hogwarts Legacy. Hogwarts Legacy returns to the spotlight with a new trailer at Gamescom opening night live event. This time, developers Avalanche gave us a cinematic look at one of the game's quest lines, dubbed Sebastian Sallow's Dark Legacy. The quest seemingly gives players a chance to embrace the dark arts and learn Crucio, an unforgettable curse in the world of Harry Potter. Essentially a curse that allows users to torture their targets. Only the worst of the worst in the Harry Potter series have been caught using it. So embracing it in the Hogwarts Legacy will surely affect your standing with friends and foes alike. Sonic Frontiers. Sonic Frontiers was one of the final AAA holiday games without a release date, but that changed at Gamescom. Sega and Sonic Team finally announced that we'll be able to sprint through the open zones of Frontiers on November 8th. Not just that, but we got additional trailers giving us more insight into the adventure that awaits. Sonic Frontiers has looked promising nearly every step of the way. My hands-on impressions were positive, even though I played a very early build. Each time I've gotten a new look, it becomes more I've become more excited for the fresh take on the franchise. Now that we have an actual date, circle your calendars. That excitement has reached new levels. All right, couple weeks. Yeah, couple weeks. Since it's the Splatoon 3, since its debut in 2015, the Splatoon series has delivered unique, colorful gameplay cribbed by scarce launch content and disappointing time restrictions for specific modes, while post-launch content greatly bolstered both games at this point. I've always been disappointed by how little was initially on offer. Now, on its third entry, the series feels a bit less fresh, but Splatoon 3 remedies the series' long-standing launch content woes while retaining all the fun that made the series such a success. Dang. All right, Splatoon 3 doesn't reinvent the wheel, nor does it need to. Instead, it improves on nearly every franchise element in sometimes small but meaningful ways. With an already robust set of content available at the launch and at least 2 years of free and premium content on the horizon, Splatoon 3 is simultaneously the series' best entry and its most promising. That's cool. All right, Tim, last paragraph. Tim may look like a copycat on its surface. Yeah, this is this game I think I was talking about, like they were trying to make like a real Pokemon competitor. Tim may look like a copycat on the surface, but its deviations from the Pokemon formula pay off considerably. With unique battling elements and engaging MMO structure, Tim evolves as its own experience and offers a vast, challenging adventure that even those without a Nintendo console can enjoy. 8.5. Metal Hell Singer. I likely won't remember my minute frustrations a few moments from now, but I will remember Dissolution, a Two Feathers track with cathartic vocals from Bjorn, Speed Strid of Soilwork, and Nihil Realm of Hell, and the way my shotgun obliterates wave of enemies there. I'm so glad Metal Hellsinger ends with the promise of more to come, because I already want more from this series. Got a 9. Okay, good. NBA 2K23. Overall, NBA 2K23 is a fitting tribute to the historical legends and iconic moments that made this sport what it is today. Though the game has its fair share of issues with poor narrative choices and omnipresent microtransactions, it's still a solid improvement over the previous game. This year's release isn't quite as flashy free throw line dunk that earns a perfect score, but it's a worthy effort that would earn MJ's shrug of approval. 7.5. Would not make him cry, I take it. The Madden NFL series has long had a solid gameplay foundation, maintained by small improvements year over year. Madden 23 is the first iteration in a long time that rebuilds that foundation, and that's where the year's greatest success lies. Some slippery collisions aside, the more physics-based action is a good change, and the controls over ball placement from skill-based passing is a welcome addition. This year, at the cost of only minor updates and core gameplay modes, but it was ultimately the right call to make, and Madden NFL 23 is a better game for it. 7.5 as well. Jordan on Payton. Roller Drum, 8.5. Roller Drum immediately clicked with me, and I ate it up. All up. As polished and fun as the experience it is, it feels like Roll 7 just dipping its toes into the water. I hope this talented studio gets the chance to make a sequel to further flesh out this unique concept with more detail in the story and greater player progression. Regardless, Roller Drum is a fantastic first foot forward. I adore the campaign gameplay and have a feeling my friend group will use this unique title for late night scoring competitions. Got an 8.5. Ooblets. Ooblets offers solid fun and I enjoy its cheerful tone. I only wish playing it didn't feel like so much work. Despite the pride I had in my farm, clearing checklists eventually felt more laborious than satisfying. There's fun to be had as long as you're willing to work for it. 6.75. Blossom Tales, The Minotaur Prince, last sentence. And last paragraph. Blossom Tales 2 does little to hide its Zelda inspiration. While it does reach the heights of Nintendo's legendary franchise, it does smooth over many of the early 90s design conventions present in games like A Link to the Past to deliver an adventure able to be enjoyed by players of all experience levels. 8.25. Saints Row. While a little irritating, I never bored and wanted to see where my team's goofy antics would take them next. The playoffs, and often worth the time investment, are just veering off the beaten path, pays dividends. I'm glad the Saints are back, hopefully for another long haul. 8.5. Soul Hackers 2. Throughout the 30 hours it took to hit credits, I kept trying to latch on to the elements that work. Soul Hackers 2's saving grace is the main characters, each with a distinct personality that often clashes from the rest. 6.5. Right, Bayonetta, Purple World, Purple Pills, Passing the Torch. Hideki Kamiya is a legend in the action game genre, helping shape and direct projects like Devil May Cry 2001, Beautiful Joe 2003, Okami 2003, the original Bayonetta 2009, and Wonderful 101 2013, while Yusuke Hashimoto directed Bayonetta 2. For the third game, directorial duties are passed to Yusuke Miyata. Kamiya had his share on their partnership on the upcoming project. Since the very beginning of this project, Director Miyata and I worked on solidifying the concept for the game, and we made sure to maintain close communication every step of the way. From my perspective, Bayonetta 3 can be best summed up as a massive explosion of everything Director Miyata wanted to do. Cool. Bayonetta 3 may be his first game with him in the director's chair, but he has always been a talented creator with whom I have had the pleasure to work for many years now. Miyata was chosen to direct the game as we were fully aware of his capabilities and talents as a creator. Having him in this position has allowed me to witness that he is truly a man who knows what he wants and who is able to execute his vision with a machine-like efficiency. All right. Actually did that in under an hour. I'm feeling proud of myself. All right. For your games, if you don't know, like, comment, subscribe, and Michael Burnham. Who likes Michael Burnham? Not a lot of people, but a lot of people do. All right, I'm out.